Hello, here's Olaf. Can you hear me? Can someone hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes, sorry. Ich bin da auch.
Ja.
Hallo.
Wunderbar. Das sieht doch schon mal gut aus. Darf ich zwischendurch schon mal probieren, ob ich meinen Bildschirm übertragen kann?
Ja, mach mal.
Ob das funktioniert, weil ich da immer...
Ja. Warte mal, da ist jetzt im Moment, ist glaube ich eine andere Sache.
Ich will aber nur...
Ja, aber da teilt hier gerade jemand anders.
Das bin ich jetzt gerade, oder?
Nee, Trang. Or maybe, I don't know who.
Okay. It's working, so I'm fine. I can stop it now. Is it right? Can you see it?
Okay, now I was kicked out.
Oh, okay. Just a question if someone can see my presentation.
Yes, we can see it. Yes, I can see it.
Should I stop or should I hold it?
I think. Well, now there's an. Francesco Carpenter will make a presentation, right? Or an introduction, right?
Hello, are you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, long time no see. Huh? I saw you got very nice map, simple in the background.
Yeah, I have to do that, right? And Olaf has got, Olaf, where are you on a ship, no? In front of the Elbphilharmonie.
Yes. As this ship is called Peking.
Ah, okay. Now Trang is sharing her agenda, yes. So Francisco, where are you? You are in front of a. Are you at home?
No, I'm in the office. It's
Okay.
only 4 p.m. in Vietnam, so it's still in the office.
Okay, yeah, Friday afternoon, and you can still go to or you can actually go to offices. We are in home, you know, home offices, all of us.
Yeah, we are lucky.
You can say that twice, right?
I show you a little bit my office background. You see it?
Yeah, that's nice. What kind of water is that in the beer?
Okay, it's a Saigon River.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
Okay. Huh? Okay.
thank you.
So I saw Trang and my deputy secretary is in the Howard office. It's about 500 meters away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My office is near there. Also. Hi, and Tim, how many people attend the seminar?
On the screen. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think we have about 20 by now.
Oh, not so much, huh?
Maybe more are coming in. But maybe not to take your time because we don't have much time. Everyone is busy. I think we can start sharply. It's 1:04 in Vietnam and 1:11 in Germany. So, guten Morgen, Mr. Olaf Dekel.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, guten Morgen.
Good morning.
Good morning. So actually, I'm from SIPO Vietnam, and I have been mainly in contact with you through emails. And today we would like to thank you so much for agreeing to share with us and update us very important policy and actually important trend for this sector, but also many other sectors we need to learn. So I think maybe we have the agenda here, but I suggest we can start right away with our partners. HAWA, we have Francesco, the General Secretary, and a big team in the office together. And then we will have the introduction and presentation from you, mainly, our expert, Ms. Julian Lemke, can have a few words. So in case of we have audience who have not known her, they can have some brief information. But then we can go straight to the open discussion session. So over to you, please, Anh Phương. Francesco, can you have a few words as a welcome and opening remarks by HAWA? Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, SIPO, and good evening, all of the Vietnam audience member of HAWA is joining the webinar today. So we are in the event of the Vietnam Furniture Matching Week, happened from Monday until this Saturday. And during this event, we got several webinar, and also we got the offline event. Furniture Sourcing Day happened on last Wednesday. During the organize the event, we received a lot of comment and a lot of order about the sourcing in sustainable sourcing. And I'm very thank you, SIPO, organize this event. One of my friend also is the sourcing agency for Otto. Also request HAWA to organize the offline event, and it happened last Wednesday. So today we are very pleasure to receive the to organize this event, and got directly the interview from SIPO and also from Otto, the very big retail in German. And I hope that this webinar also bring very useful information for our members. So thank again, and please take your stake and share the information with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anh Phương. Julian, may you have a few words to introduce about yourself and your work with SIPO. So we have audience who may raise some questions later on to you, but then we can have Mr. Olaf, more time for Mr. Olaf Dekel. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Trang. Yeah, my name is Juliana, and I think a lot of the people know me already. I work as the technical expert for the Swiss Import Promotion Program, and I've been to Vietnam 2 or 3 times for the SIPO program in Ho Chi Minh City and also in Hanoi, and the areas where the different associations are. So I hope that, yeah, I think Tran Lu Hui is here from FPA and BIFA. Those are the other 2 associations. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to work with all of you, because you're such a, well, busy sector representatives here. The furniture and timber industry in Vietnam is growing and has a very strong stand on the world market. And yeah, I think we will see even further positive developments from Vietnam. And yeah, I hope that we can have a physical VFA again, a furniture fair that was always a good event. And now since we do so much more digitally and online now, I would like to introduce my friend Olaf Decho. He is the Senior Project Manager for Materials and Circularity and Sustainability Management and a Waste Management Officer for the Otto Group, for Otto Central. Otto is a very large company group, and Olaf Decho will explain to us a little bit about the group and their requirements. We heard from Francesco that sustainability is requested more and more from the buyers. And yeah, so this is the theme that will accompany us and you guys. So we are pleased to answer questions and discuss with you what your thoughts are. Also, there is a presentation on the new directive, the new European directive on human rights, environmental and governance value chain due diligence, which I held earlier, and that is available to listen to on the website from Harvard, I think. So yeah, without further words, I would like to hand over to Olaf now, and thank you very much for coming into this event. I'm very happy to have you here. So please go ahead with your presentation.
Okay, thanks for that. I like to share my presentation, and I guess I need the rights to do that. Now I can try. One moment. So you can see my presentation, is that right?
Yes.
One question, I will do it. You can see it, yes?
Yes, we
No,
can see.
You can already see it, you guys. I can't see it yet.
I can see at my end clearly.
You can or you can't? I don't know.
We see
can.
it. We see it.
Okay. Yes, I want to give you some information. First of all, before I introduce myself, will you translate it or just in English?
Please just go straight. We don't need translation. We can brief at the end only. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I want to give you some information about the Otto Group, about furniture, and my item I'm working with is the environment. So I'm most of all focused on environmental issues, but I think it's important for you to understand how we think here in Germany. And first of all, about myself, I'm Olaf. I'm working with the Otto Group more than 20 years, and I try to manage the environment. So we have a lot of products. We try to focus on products which are environmentally friendly, and we need some help from suppliers, and I try to support that. So in case you have questions, I think it's the best at the end, but feel free if a few questions that's possible, otherwise it will be, I get lost, I would say. So one moment, there are some problems. I cannot. Yes, I missed my. I have now two. Okay, about the Otto Group. I don't know if you know the Otto Group in total. We most of we are quite important in Europe. We have not only Otto, but there are some other companies belonging to the Otto group. And it's, for example, Bauer or Quello or Bonprix or About You. But we are also in America active. It's Crate and Barrel. I guess maybe you know them. And we are quite strong in Europe. Our company, maybe you are related to, is Otto International. They are located in Vietnam too. Maybe I guess you know them. But we are a group and we are a retailer. And for us, it's quite important that we need suppliers. And we are on a different kind of activity. We are a retail company. We are also active in financial services and in services, but I guess that is not important for you. We are in the multi-channel retail. We are quite successful in the online business, and maybe that's another hint for you. We are the retailer, but we are also a platform, and we have a marketplace, and there's a possibility for other retailers to join the platform. So in case you are not a supplier, you are a retail company, you have also the chance to join our marketplace. Yeah, about the retail, we have 3 parts where we are quite successful. It's textiles, it's furniture, and electrical devices. Textiles, I guess, in this discussion here, it's not that important for you. It's about maybe furniture. And for you, that you can have a feeling about that, we sell more than 250,000 tons of furniture each year. So for us, it's quite a lot, I think. And I don't know, maybe you support us by this furniture in the future, but so you can have an amount of what we are talking about. We have a vision, and especially our shareholders have the vision responsible commerce that inspires. And the owner of the Otto Group has forced us that we have to be responsible. So responsible commerce, and that is, what does that mean? And in the next few minutes, I will give you an impression what we are talking about and where we have to care about. It's our business, it's a part of our DNA, and for almost 30 years we try to put the environment in our decisions we make. So we want to be responsible across all areas we are in. It starts at the raw materials to the manufacturing and the finished products. And we feel responsible for that too. Not only about the environment, we have a look at the workers in the supply chain product in our own company, but more and more it is important about the situation with the supplier. I just can give you the feeling, if we have some news and there are bad news about suppliers somewhere in Asia or America, we'll have a lot of trouble here in Germany. And that is the reason, that is one reason why why we want to be safe. We don't want to have problems with bad news, and that's one reason. And the second is we feel responsible for what's going on in the companies. There are some items in the environmental discussion which are really important, and one of them is the CO2 emissions. We have to be responsible, or we are responsible for what we are doing and selling, and so the CO2 emission is one important factor on the environmental part. And to know we're a big company, where the two emissions are coming from, who is responsible, is that our company, are the suppliers, and we have to take care about that. We are responsible about what's going on the world, and these are pictures here we are not happy about, because in case we want to have, for example, wood from sustainable forestry, and that's quite important, because otherwise we'll have really big problems. The German people are really interested to have sustainable materials. They don't want to see these pictures, and we as Otto don't want to be related to these kind of pictures. And I will continue about that. And I think it's quite important, not only if you say you want to have that or that way, it's always important that you have to look by your own. How is the situation? Where can you change something, or where it is not possible? There are some pictures that are stairways, and these pictures we don't want to see. I just want to give you an impression. The suppliers who are working with us should have a standard on the social way, on the environmental way. That is the conclusion in a short form. I will give some more information, and here it's the same about pollution and the safety. And in our opinion, it is important that there are some standards for the protection for the workers in the factories. And for example, about the waste problem, it's a challenge, I know, but this is what we don't want to see with a supplier. And a supplier shouldn't be the reason for that, because that is our responsibility to take care of that. And for us, it's important that you should do your part, that we shouldn't see that picture. And for us, it's important for the environmental reason, and especially if the public will see these pictures and they say, oh, it's related to Otto, we don't buy at Otto anymore. So in Germany, these pictures we don't want to see. And that is really a challenge for us, because it's not difficult to change things. But in our opinion, we have to go another way. I'm just talking about the supply chain and ecological topics. For us, there are some items, they are important. First of all is the theme is water and wastewater. It is, I don't know what kind of company you have, but it's really important that you know what you are doing and how, if the water is treated, the wastewater is treated. The second one is about chemicals, the chemical management. There are some international regulations they have to be fulfilled. If you have chemicals used, you have to have the data sheets, and there are some regulations, and if it's danger for fire or for healthy, you have to take care of. And in future, that will be more and more proved by a third party. And if regulations are not fulfilled, it is not the way we want to work with suppliers. The third item is the energy and the CO2 emission. We have a high pressure to do our part to reduce the CO2 emissions. And we can do it as a trader, but it's also important that all companies we are working with trying to save energy and trying to reduce the CO2 emissions. So in detail, I cannot say save 20% or so, but what I want to give you with that impression that you should think about it by your own. And that is helpful for the future. What kind of energy do you use? Is there any possibilities to save energy? And the third is about waste. As a supplier, that is quite important. If you have waste, it's important that you collect it correct and don't throw it out somewhere, that it is going a correct way, especially if it's hazardous waste. And I would say we cannot require to do the suppliers to do that, but my wish is that you understand that it's quite important, and if there are audits, it is helpful, and if you want to work with Otto, that you are taking care of waste in a correct form. I continue about the supply chain and ecological topics. If you are producing furniture, for example, the FSC certification is one important topic. That's a must, because the destruction of the forest, the rainforest, is pretty bad, and we don't want to be responsible for that. So we decided to have all furniture we are selling should be FSC, and we are on a really good level about that already. I will give you some more information on the next page. About packaging, you have, when you sell products to Europe, you have, first of all, it's important that the product is coming safe to Germany. I can understand. But the second one is about plastics. And that is a quite big requirement in the future, because plastic is not very accepted in Germany by the customers. And if you have products or packaging with a lot of plastic, it is not good for us as a company, because people don't want to have it. And for us, in case you can package, you have in furniture or whatever, to use paper, I think it's quite more important than plastic. So think about it. If you can change your packaging, first of all, it is important that the package, the product is coming safe to Germany. But on the second part, we have some high costs about the recycling of plastics. And in case it is possible to prevent plastic, that's my wish to you. Think about that, because the costs we have for the waste management really high, and the pressure from the customer is there to reduce the plastic. These are the main topics, but what we will have in the future is the question of transparency. So it would be excellent if I ask you as a company, how much energy do you use? And you should know that. And how much water do you need? And how much wastewater do you have? And what kind of wastewater do you have? So transparency is quite important for the future, and more people will ask. Or about the packaging. How much packaging have you used? How much plastic? How much cardboard did you use? And this is the questions you will get more and more in the future. One question? I cannot understand that.
I think it was just somebody that joined and didn't switch off his
Some
microphone.
technical problem. Sorry.
Sí, claro.
Transparency is quite important, a step for the future. And the 8th item is, I think, action and measurements. So there should be, I know it is not easy, our requirements to fulfill, but we want to,
Yo también tendría que tomármela, claro.
we want to see some movement. And
¿Tú te lo tomas? ¿Tú te lo tomas? Yo me acuerdo que lo hacía al principio, pero luego ya se me ha ido
Sorry,
olvidando.
Trung, can you stop this
Ya hace
person?
años que no me lo tomo, sí.
Can somebody, yeah, thank you.
Okay. For us, most important is we know it's not possible to be 100% with all. But for us, there's important to have a roadmap, step by step, and to see movement. And I think that is the most important of all. If there's some movement on your side, it will be really helpful. About FSC and furniture, we have an aim, a goal is 100% by 2025, and we are now about 70%, and we will have good plans to make it by 100%. And it is an aim not only for the company, it's also the aim for the CEO. And he get a bonus if he will reach this aim. So we are all in the Otto Group company forced to make FSC. About the ecology, I gave you some information. The other one is about the social topics. It is quite important for us, and here there are some items which are important. It's a living wage, it's a safety work environment, freely chosen employment, child-free production, and decent working hours. We cannot prove that by our own because we have so many companies. Because of that, we need social audits, and especially the BSCI. We don't want to force you to do what we want, but we have the different kind of audits about the regulations you have in your own country. And there's Amphori BSCI audits. We have SA 8000 and certificates or ICS audits. So that are audits which are required to have by our suppliers. what Juliana already mentioned, there will be a due diligence act in Germany coming, and we have to identify the risks in our supply chain, and that's a new way of the laws in Germany. So we have to identify where are the risks. Are they in Germany? Are they in America? Are they in Asia? And then we have to check where are our suppliers. And we have to do it for our suppliers. And we have to check where are the risks. And I think that's my message I want to give you. You have to check where, in your opinion, is the highest risk in Vietnam. Is it waste? Is it water, chemicals? Is it energy or working conditions? I guess you know it better than I do from Hamburg. But in my opinion, you have to realize, see the situation about your own, get out in your company and see how it looks like. And then try to do step by step and to identify the risks. And that is exactly what we are forced to do in Germany. And so be proactive and go that way. That is my proposal for you. Taking care of these items. Yes, that's what I just mentioned. We cannot check everything by our own. One important or helpful is the certification. This is one important step. But the most important is be proactive and don't wait until someone is coming. If you want to get in relation with German companies, be proactive, and we need the support from our suppliers. And we know nobody is perfect, but we want to see step by step, we want to see improvement. And here's a short summary. We have the energy efficiency about waste, water, chemicals, and to look at the social part, the wages, the child work, health and safety, working hours, freedom of assembly, and forced labor. They are items we were checked in the future by the government, and especially by the public too, and our customers. They don't want to have a relationship with that, or we don't want to have a relationship with that. So they are the main topics we will ask you in the future to be well prepared. I don't know if you are working with the Otto Group together already or not. In case you want to do that, we have Otto International. You can see the address on the top, and here you can get in contact with us. And if you want to be a supplier, you can put in here your information to get in touch. And then the Otto Group will check if it is a way to work together or not. I don't know, I'm not that deep where the interests in, but we are working as a platform, a marketplace, and as a retailer, and on both we are quite active. And as I already mentioned, we are selling a lot of furniture, and that's great. And we are growing quite fast. So in case you want to support us, you can do that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me now or later. And I like to thank you for listening to me. Did I pronounce it right? No.
Thank you very much. I think
Yes,
we
thank
have
you.
I think we have received several questions in the chat already.
I didn't check the chat because I was presenting.
May I read it out loud?
Yes, first one question and I will give an answer, otherwise I will not make it.
Yeah, one by one, okay? Okay, we have the first question. Do you have any criteria for those social and environment audit for suppliers? Whether you train the suppliers for the purpose of sustainability, I mean from auto, you have any training for the suppliers, maybe existing suppliers and maybe potential suppliers?
First of all, the BSCI audit, their requirements, what to fulfill. And I guess the requirements are public and you can get this information because that is a standard which is worldwide, which we use not only in Germany, in whole Europe. So if you are working with companies in Germany, I guess BSCI is the main important. I'm not in detail about that, but if you search for BSCI, you will get the information.
Olaf, I think also what is not allowed in the Otto group, I think you also have that on one of your websites, like, I mean, for all sectors, like no fur, no, all kinds of things. And of course, there's also those minimum requirements.
Yeah, we have minimum requirements, yes. What's allowed and what's not allowed about chemicals in the products and so on, yes. And
they can be found on otto.com or where maybe
the Otto group, there you can find information, yes. Okay, and most important is if you get in contact with Otto International, they can give you information and they're responsible in Asia about the suppliers and they will handle the information you need.
So that's Otto International, okay.
Yes, and you can see it on the top here, Otto International, ottoint.com.
Ai ơi, rác hả?
Somebody again who doesn't have the microphone on silent. Okay.
And we won't leave you alone. They make trainings about the requirements of the Otto group, the social requirements, and the environmental requirements. So first of all, if you are interested in getting in touch with us, you will get some information here on that page.
Yeah, so Trang, I'm reading the second one, which feeds into that. Does Otto Group have a system to manage or monitor its suppliers or members or businesses to implement sustainability practices, and how does it work? So I guess it's through the BSCI audits that they all need?
Yes, and we have a database where we are proving all our suppliers, and the suppliers have to fulfill the put in the audits. And they need a required audit, otherwise they will get thrown out, I would say.
Okay, so may I clarify that it is an internal system where you can view all the suppliers, whether they pass your audit or not yet?
It's an internal system.
What's the situation?
But it's related to the BSCI. And some other audits are possible too, but most of the companies have the BSCI audit. And
okay, so the question also relates to your members, the businesses, because you presented at the beginning. Yeah, you are a buying group you are a group of many members.
Yes.
So the question is also for whether you have the system to monitor the members, whether they follow all the sustainability practices or not?
We have a database for all Otto Group companies, except one exception, but we are using that system. And if you are working with Otto, we identified the markets we want to have as a BCI audits, and Vietnam is one country where it is necessary, and there it is important to have that audits. And about the environment, we develop things and asking for audits in the future. We don't have it yet, but it will come. And especially with the German law, we have to do that. We have to check. So it's good if you start already on that.
Okay, thank you. We have one participant who want to raise a question directly to you, Mr. Andy Chen from SDS Vietnam. Andy Chen, can you turn on your micro? It's good to change the voice as
maybe
well.
Also, yeah.
Yeah.
Hello?
If
You hear me?
Camera.
Yeah.
Now you hear
Maybe
me?
your camera.
No, because my camera is broken down. Just yesterday, I just back from the hotel, how was meeting yesterday, and it's broken down the camera and computer. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Very well.
Okay, thank you. My name is Andy. Hello, Mr. Julian and Olaf Dicho. My name is Andy. I'm a sourcing agent for your partner, your membership called Bomark Direct. You know, you heard about that, right? This is your member, Bomark Direct. And now we know that Otto Church Akai and merging Bomark to be your family, Otto family, Otto group. And we just received like a month ago, we have an inquiry from Bomark Direct for searching for or sourcing for the supplier to certify with the sustainable material requirement from Otto Group. Actually, for the BSCI, Bomark Direct always apply for that very strictly because before the merging system with Otto, we already work on the BSCI very closely. And for the sustainable requirement, we also work with all suppliers for Bomark Direct for the material control, checking, monitoring. But now we have a more strictly request from Otto. The question is, when the buy-in team from Bomark Direct asked me to sourcing for the new supplier with the new inquiry for sustainable material and condition, I talk some supplier, but they always ask for the document. What is Otto document about the material, sustainable material? We need that one. And I asked the guy, the manager, purchasing manager from Bomark Direct. They say they will send me later, but at the moment we don't have anything, the document in hand to talk to the supplier. So that's why yesterday, I mean some days ago, I come to Hawaii and I make a seminar. I made the presentation about the sustainable to the supplier. But actually, for myself, I don't have any document in hand. We just work on what understand my experience, because I'm already more than 20 years in the industry of furniture in Vietnam. I'm the boss, the owner of the company sourcing agent for Bomark Direct. This is your member, right? So that's why I asked if you have already shared information internally to Bomark Direct or not, or do we have to wait for? This is my question.
You have to get in contact with your persons in the Otto Group. I don't know if it's Otto International or who it is. He can give you the information. We are a big company with more than 50,000 people, so you have to, if you have someone, your contact person, get in contact with him. He knows the information, or he should know the information where to get from.
Okay, so I think does this mean that the person in charge from Bomark have to contact with you or someone in your organization to get information, right? Someone from, yeah.
try to get the person you are in contact with in the Otto Group. He is responsible for, because it's difficult for me to give you information and he will give you some other information. So he's the one who is has the leading contact.
Okay. So thank you. I'm very happy to be here today to see you, the person in charge of this one, to talking about the sustainable material today, because I'm somehow I'm belong to member of Otto Group, and we received a request from buyer from Beaumont Direct to source in Vietnam for this one already, sustainable material and sustainable order. We are carrying now. We discuss with several suppliers now in Vietnam.
Okay, but they are all FSC certified, is that right?
They have BSCI, they have FSC, but other new material like fabric, like packaging for paper, for cotton, for a lot of things that's new for the supply in Vietnam for that. This is new for supply in Vietnam. So we need to have a sustainable supply chain from raw material, input raw material, and even in the production, processing, and everything. We need to follow that one, and we need the document to see what is that. How is your detailed requirement for that? So I think you're right. Maybe I need to contact back to the person in charge of Beaumont Direct.
Okay, thank you, Andy Chen. We have thank you very much for your exchange and sharing, actually. So you can see that many different ways of interaction and inquiries are taking place. May I move to the next question, please? We have a question here for Otto, for Olaf, Mr. Olaf Dekop, please. Do you have at Otto any tools for risk identification and measurements? You show a slide, I remember, and then you said we need to be proactive, but sometimes, we do not know what we do not know, and particularly regarding risks, we can always overlook the risks, and the lens of buyers may be much better. So again, do you have any tools for risk identification and measurements?
Yes, it's not easy to develop risks. You have, first of all, identify the different kind of topics, and then you have to cluster them. Which countries have a problem with that? And we build it in the social part, and we try now to copy it to the environmental part. About the social part, we decided to use audits via BSCI, and something equal will follow about the environmental part too. Because it's a law that will come in Germany, and we have to identify the risk. And it's not easy. It's like for you, if you should identify the risks in your company, and how do you do that? It's not easy, because you have to compare, and that is not easy one.
Yes. Okay. So I got something from that. Another question, partly in English and in Vietnamese, and then we have another question just came up. But this question is about you show a slide about FSC, like a target that you are reaching 100% of FSC. However, besides FSC, at Otto, do you have any other targets, specific targets with numbers? Yes. Regarding sustainability? And the interesting part is here, how you allocate the responsibilities to fulfill these targets, particularly is the one regarding suppliers. So because you have so many members, I guess, and how you measure and how you allocate responsibilities to measure, to fulfill.
Yes, we have decided to have a few goals. One is about FSC and furniture. We have one about catalog paper, because we still use catalog paper. We have an aim to have FSC there too. And we have one aim at the CO2 emissions to reduce the CO2 emissions by 2030 by 0 to get down. And we have an aim about the suppliers and about the social audits. I think that is the main important for you to know. And we will continue to develop new goals, especially about the environment and the suppliers. But it's a challenge because we have thousands of suppliers all around the world. And there's it's a difference if you have a washing machine or a textile or a furniture.
Yes. Okay. And how you allocate the responsibilities to fulfill these targets? Because you cannot just lay it down with those targets, but there need to be someone who really do something, yeah?
Yes,
and if he or she cannot do that?
We do it as a company, for example, about FSC furniture. It is proved by a third party if we buy FSC wood or furniture with an FSC certificate. And then we have to measure that. And it is proved by a third party. And they check it, and then we publish that. So, and I guess if you sell furniture to the Otto Group in Vietnam, it has to be 100% FSC. Other wood products are not allowed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. We have a question from Ms. Quế Anh from FSC Vietnam. How about the packaging certification auto accept? FSC certified packaging is accepted in your system?
At our own system, we use FSC packaging. It's not a requirement yet for suppliers, but we really appreciate that if you would fulfill that. One requirement we don't want to have PVC as a packaging material. And step by step, we want to have no plastic if possible, but that is really complicated. And it depends on the product, I would say. But if you can get in the direction of cardboard, paper, boxes, that would be a really good way.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope that's already answer your question, Ms. Quế Anh. In case you want to have further clarification, please just share in. May I raise one more point? But because before this session, we already had some internal recording. And Julian, can you take over a little bit? Because Mr. Olaf Deco just shared the targets of Otto Group. But at EU as a whole, there are also new regulations coming in. And I remember in the previous session, you already mentioned about different countries. So can you share, Julian, you share your screen with one slide regarding the, not yet, okay, yes, some technical issues. Oh, you want to say something?
Juliana, we cannot hear you in case you want to.
Okay, thank you. I tried to get the attention of the host because I couldn't unmute myself for some time now. I've sent many messages now. Okay. Yes, so sorry. Trang, did you want me to share my presentation from earlier on maybe?
Because I think Mr. Olaf just shared very interesting information from a very practical point of view and a strategy of Otto as a big buyer with targets on sustainability, but also at country levels, at different markets, I think there are also new regulations with some targets, some regulations, and you can advise and share that to the companies, to the participants today.
Yes, yes. Do you
So
see
you
the
can jump to some key points.
Yes, yes.
For further
So you
details, I'm sorry to audience. We will have another detailed presentation broadcasting tomorrow or the day after tomorrow by Hawa on all these detailed points. But Mr. Julian Lemke can come to the very concrete points with new regulations. Thank you.
Okay, so you can see my presentation and you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I mean, Olaf already said that there's a law in Germany, and that will come into force in from 1st of January 2023. So the companies have got less than 2 years to prepare. That applies to companies with over 3,000 employees. I will show you here for the German Act. And so the draft of the law has been adopted, and it will probably go through in June. And it applies to all the sectors and all the structures. So not just to furniture or so, it's also textile and so on. In Germany, in the beginning, I would say most obligations are limited to the direct suppliers. We call them first-tier suppliers, but indirectly they are already going further. And because the EU Commission will bring out a new act or directive, probably later this year, it's probable that the German law will also be, made a little bit stronger. And here it says no civil liability, so that means you can't go to prison. But that's something the member states decide, and the EU law wants to have civil liability. So there are still a lot of things in discussion. But what's very clear is that the new law is coming, and that will have a direct effect. So the more you as a supplier do proactively in terms of human rights, in terms of environmental laws, and also whether it's CO2 emissions or waste or whatever, I would even go so far and say get familiar with sustainability reporting, and look for a system that you can choose, where you have the checklists to go by. All the things. It's learning how to look at your company through the sustainability glasses, I would say, right? So Olaf has mentioned a lot of different points that are important to them. And Otto Group is not the only company that will have to do that from 2023. And there are a lot of other companies. You will notice it. And the quicker you are, the better prepared you are. You are gaining a competitive advantage compared to your other colleagues in the sector and in the industry. So human rights is very, very important point, and of course the environment as well. So of course, one important point that Olaf raised was also the transparency, and that relates to not just to waste and everything, but also to good governance. Vietnam is a country with a low corruption perception index. That means there is still corruption or bribery, and therefore the companies will always want to see that everything has gone according to the book. So yeah, prepare for that. And yeah, so you see that Otto is also making their own system stricter, and that's due to the law. And the companies have to really work hard at the moment to see that they can control better, but don't lose too many suppliers at the same time, right? Olaf, what would you say? you know, it's difficult, and not just for the suppliers, but also for you as a big group with many companies to control all, you know, the products and the supply chains that you have.
Yes, and for us it is important to have it keep it short and simple, I would say. And for that it's important to have certificates, because we are not, it's not possible for us to go to every supplier to check by our own with a long list. There should be with a certificate. That's important.
Yeah. So here, in terms of the national acts, you can see that some countries have already gotten and passed some laws, and that applies to certain, you know, specific themes. You know, like for instance, in the UK they have the Modern Slavery Act, and in Austria they concentrate on social responsibility. It will be passed in France. They have this a similar law since 2019. But on the EU level, we already have for 7 years now the EU timber regulation. That relates to, of course, legality of the timber, not quite yet sustainability. But of course, it is already something, you know, a due diligence system requirement. So people are already familiar with this obligation of conducting due diligence, and that's basically collecting information, evaluating the risks. So they need to get as much information as possible, especially from the buyer, and then they have to mitigate the risk. If there is a risk, either they need to get more information or they need to get certificates, which is always a good way for the buyers, because it's a third-party audit, and so it's independent. But nevertheless, the more the supplying companies and the agents and so on are prepared, the better it is. And I see that the associations can play a key role here, because they could also help with auditing, with so-called second-party auditing of companies, and support them in getting ready to fulfill all the commitments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have another, I think maybe the last question. Can you, for both of you, for Julian, can you please explain in simple language about the new term of ESG? Any difference from CSR? Because actually for companies in Vietnam, particularly I learned this from the textile, because textile are more, honestly, more advanced in learning that they have to cope with these new terms. So already they asked us to explain ESG, but can you make it a little bit simpler? And any difference from CSR? And then to Mr. Deco at Otto, how do you take it, ESG? I mean, just also maybe your experience, because CSR must be also very familiar already, but now is a new ESG. Any changes or any experience in learning?
Well, I'm not an expert, you know, in exactly how it came about, but ESG means environmental, social, and governance, and usually say impact investment. So it comes from the financial sector. That means that banks and you know, big funds and so on, they want to adopt criteria that when they give money to companies or to projects, that there are no adverse impacts on you know, humans or the environment. So they have coined the term ESG, environment, social, governance. And they have a long list of criteria what they check, because yeah, they need to be 100% sure that if they put millions or billions into a fund, you know, for shareholders, that there are no yeah, bad news, like Olaf said it. And CSR is corporate social responsibility. It is, you know, it has a lot of overlaps, because you know, here we're also looking at environment, social, responsibility, but also a little bit on the governance side. But it is, yeah, it's maybe a little less. I would say it's very similar, but it is, you know, it basically says or concerns the same things. It can include the same criteria. Olaf, what would you say? Do you have a difference?
You make it perfect. I couldn't add anything to that. I talked about that, about the environmental part, the social part, and I missed in my presentation the governance part, but you added it quite well.
Can you repeat about your idea on governance? Because actually that's something I'm not myself clear. What should be the implication for companies and also for the BSOs to assist their members for improving the governance and sharing about such improvement?
It's about important.
Yeah.
It's about your own governance, about corruption. And the company who wants to invest money wants to be sure that there's no corruption in your company, I would say, from the German perspective. Yeah. It's not about
transparency. Transparency, is that?
Transparency is helpful, but transparency only shows yes, there is or is not. But it's always important that there's should be no corruption at all.
Yeah, it's also, I think, corruption is really a very important thing, corruption and bribery, but also about how the company is led. And, you know, of course, for any commitment that the company makes in terms of sustainability or corporate social responsibility, the management must be behind it. And that's something that you know, that's a good governance, so to say. If the boss, whether it's the CEO or president or so, signs it. And here I would like to you know, emphasize what Olaf has said in a side sentence. You know, that in the Otto Group, Olaf, you told me the other day that in the Otto Group, all those sustainability goals are actually connected to the payments of the management, the top management, and so that they really will really look at what is happening in you know, achieving those goals, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So I find that a huge commitment from the Otto Group. So, and good governance is also, for instance, you know, the management of the human resources and all that, you know, everything that has to do in a way with management. So good governance is we know this expression, good governance, more from you know, the government, the states, that you can also translate it with good, you know, best practices as well, and ethical requirements in the company.
Thank you. Yeah, actually, I have two concerns. In fact, first, the word governance is very difficult to translate in Vietnamese. I mean, to have people to fully understand. Secondly, for furniture and wood processing companies, many companies are family businesses. So improving and showing good governance will be honestly a little bit challenging. How to improve and how to do that, maybe that's something else we can discuss and advise our BSO and our associations to understand it better and then helping to improve it.
You know, I think it's maybe, it's not that difficult to, you know, for a family business compared to another business. It's maybe they are not used to give a contract to the son or the daughter that is working in the company. So one has to take a little bit of a step back and look at their own structures as if it is, you know, not a family member or not a family business, but bring things in order, like for instance, contracts or, work descriptions and how things are being carried out, and who makes the decisions, that's regulated. Because the more you have it, written down, and, your company vision, mission, philosophy, your management style, and so on, the better you can ask questions. Like for instance, an auto buyer representative comes into a company, like a family company that has grown big, and they said, yeah, who's responsible for the waste management here? And then what does maybe the father says, well, I told my son to do it, and he says, but well, he has not formally gotten this task. Of course, the family members are always responsible for everything, and this would be a risk area, because it's not formally, it's not written down or not formally clear who is doing it. So there needs to be a responsible person for those risky areas in the companies, and that's good governance. That's good management style. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something we can learn and elaborate further.
And you were asking about how the BSO can help here. I think the BSO can really help greatly there. They could have their own responsible purchasing checklist, for instance, for the members, to give them guidance or to offer trainings. I think they can really play a big role to equip the member companies for the future, for the requirements that will increase.
Yeah, I would like to share that concern, because honestly, I had also received several inquiries from some investors, because investing in forest development and also furniture processing to improve is also an attention of several investors. But some concerns of them is that we have so many family businesses, and the governance structure may be something they need to learn and elaborate and analyze together. However, I think we are already over time. And
let me make one more comment in terms of a general view on Vietnam. As I said earlier, Vietnam, especially the furniture industry and the furniture exports, are growing really successfully. Every year, a couple of percentages more, which is great, of course. But internationally, of course, this is viewed with very closely, like we say, with eagle's eyes, from other countries. And it is very important that Vietnam makes sure that they that they do it properly, and that they don't get into a reputation that, yes, fast growing, and it doesn't matter about the environment, it doesn't matter about the human rights and so on, because then you fall off the list for potential buyers very quickly. This is extremely important, that you protect your good reputation, that you are diligent people, that you respect the human rights and the environment, because otherwise, this nice growth can turn into, can stop basically, and people go to countries that have understood that a bit quicker. And China is really, they have been through that process already. They now cleaning up their act, I would say, and people are going back to China to buy there, or they have never left there, like big companies. So this is a real, it's like a finger up, and it's advice.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, it's good to have some benchmarking, some comparison across suppliers. We always have to compete and improve faster. So we have just a question about sharing the PowerPoint. Olaf, can we have your PowerPoint after today's session? And
yes, I will share it with Juliana, and then she can send it around.
Thank you so much. So for participants, do you have any other questions, or do you want to open your mic and say something? And for participants who want to receive the PowerPoint of today, Please type your email address in the chat box so we can share with you the presentation of actually both speakers today. Wait, do you want to say something or you just want to say thanks?
Yes, actually, I just like to send a big thank you for the presenter today, because I myself is from the factory second generation, and I feel it's very important to understand the governance, corporate governance, and we do have difficulties to explain to the older generation how this system works. So through this webinar, we really understand more how to convince and all the facts and details. So we think that our members really will benefit from this. So thank you very much.
Okay, so Tuệ is actually also key members of HAWA's board. So thank you very much, Tuệ, for acknowledging that at least we deliver something to you.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much, everybody. And please, before you go, you leave your email address in the chat box so we can share with you the presentation after today. On behalf of SIPO and HAWA, I think the General Secretary is here, but he's off or why. We thank you very much, Olaf, for your time and for your very, very fast, very quick, but also straight to the point exchange. We could learn a lot. And thank you, Julian, for putting us together and coordinating this session. We believe we will have other further learning from both of you for sure. Thank you, audience, for spending time with us. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. And we
Thanks.
will leave the